Hey, welcome to Elite Outcome Academy. Again, my name is Eric Thomas. I am the founder and creator of these programs that you see here on this YouTube channel, and I wanted to thank you again for being here. This is a brand new channel, and I'm still trying to figure out how to work out the kinks. So, for you guys who are pro at this, please forgive me. For those of you that are tagging along, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to build this out with you in mind. Nevertheless, today's episode is about recovery. And what I mean by recovery is all things recovery: mental health recovery, drug and alcohol abuse recovery, depression recovery, all things that you need to recover from. The stigma in the world of recovery in general is that you are always in it. And I refuse to believe this stigma because if you break a bone, then there's a clear deadline on when you should be out of recovery and healed. Might take a lot of work, might take physical therapy, might take a lot of things being casted, all of these different medical procedures that could be done to help fix a broken bone. However, it doesn't seem to be this way when it comes to the brain, when it comes to the mind. So, I have refuted and refused this idea for all of my adult life because I had an idea and a comprehension of what this means to get out of recovery and to become healed. I think it is very negative. I think it is very heavy. I think it is very wrong to carry on the stigma of always in recovery. I think this just gives people an idea to hang on to replace quote unquote addictions or quote unquote issues. I think there is a time for recovery. I do not discount recovery. Just like with the broken bone, you have to take the time to heal. But once you become healed from a broken bone, you just remember that one time you broke your bone. For me, I remember that at one time, two times, or even three times, I overused and abused alcohol. I overused and abused the excuse of depression. I overused and abused the events and circumstances from my past as a reason to not behave properly or a reason to continue with anger or whatever. But I went down a path, and the path that I went down was that to become healed from these things. Now, we have work forever to do. We have to do work forever in order to overcome the many things that come into this life, which we have to give ourselves grace with, grace for, which is the different states of emotion, different states of being, and learning to come closer to center from the extreme sides of both ends of which I've been is really the zone to work towards. As you heal from things, and you do so from both ends, you come to a place of center, and you learn that just like somebody who's broken their arm multiple times, you learn the process. Oh, my arm's broken. You got to go to the ER, got to put on a cast, get an x-ray, whatever it is. The second time you do it, the faster it goes, the quicker the healing process becomes, because you just know how to do the steps better. Well, as you learn to do the steps better, you move out of recovery and into healing and into being healed. And it is my belief that you no longer have to consider yourself in recovery, just like after you get the cast taken off your arm. So what do you got to do that? Well, it's taken me a couple of years to really dial in and figure out this thought process. It's taken a lot of writing and a lot of action and a lot of working through different things. And it all really boils down to the same program that I talk about in every one of these videos, whether it is personal development, whether it's recovery from behavior, whether it's learning about yourself because of the traumas you've experienced, and whether it is anything that I talk about here. It is pick an action, commit to completion, and celebrate it. You see, the problem is we don't understand that we have so much available to us, that we have so many tools in our pockets, in our brains, at the disposal of our own use, that we just forget. Like, there's nothing stopping you from getting up out of a burning house. Very few, if you are watching this, cannot get up and get out of a burning house. For you, I'm sorry. I apologize. No offense towards those that can't physically get themselves out. But hopefully there's other plans in place. And if there's not, there needs to be. For the majority of people, if the house caught on fire, there is nothing stopping you from getting out and saving your own life. And you have to go into action mode as if your house is on fire in order to recover. Now, we can look at the house on fire analogy. The house catches on fire and it burns down to the ground. You have to then go into action to find new shelter, to recover what has been lost. And you can imagine the steps that you would have to do. If you've experienced this, again, I feel a sense of empathy towards you because you've gone through so much. On the flip side of that, you now have a new skill set that you can then apply to multiple categories of life. And this is really a breakdown into what that means, taking what it means to take actions and skill sets from one circumstance and applying them to the other. And this is what Tools to Recovery, the program Tools to Recovery, is all about. It's learning how to take skill sets from one place and applying them to the other. I'm not going to break down the circumstances from that, but in this video, but what I want to do is I want to break down how you can start taking action towards getting out of recovery and into healed. You have to pick actions like cleanliness. You have to pick actions like doing some things that might be uncomfortable. Maybe it's conversations. Maybe it's physically working out, which can be uncomfortable. Just right here to my left is I've got my tally sheet. If you've seen the short that I made about my tally sheet and my working out, it's uncomfortable. It sucks. Right now, my left knee feels like maybe I pushed it a little too hard. So I'll adjust for my next workout to not break my knee, because I'm not going to develop an ego that I have to do it one specific way. There is no one specific way, but there is a right way for you in order to push through recovery, put on the cast, get the x-rays done, which, getting out of the metaphor side of things, you have to build an environment and you have to look at how you process the things around you and the way that you behave. See, Tools to Recovery is a behavioral approach, a behavioral system that teaches you that you have way more skills than you believe. See, when we start to move out of one area, we believe that we have to leave that behind. With all of the mannerisms and the characteristics and the person that we were, we have to leave that all behind and we have to become something new. In my meetings in the past for terrible decisions that landed me in positions that I had to go through these processes in the past, these things weren't really said out loud, but they were kind of insinuated that you had to become somebody new, that the person that you were is no longer valuable. And that's completely incorrect. I'll give you an example of mine right now. You know, when I was abusing alcohol, I was drinking way too much. I eventually found myself with very little to no money. And when I did, I found myself negotiating a way to still be able to drink. I figured out negotiating with myself to push through something uncomfortable, negotiating with other people to allow me to continue consuming. You see, it was very uncomfortable for me to want to go to the bartender and ask him to allow me to build a tab I'll pay you tomorrow or I'll pay you Friday. It was very uncomfortable for me to try to make deals with other people to buy me drinks. But I did it anyways because I wanted the outcome. There's outcomes that you want to become the person that you dream of, to become the next best version of you, that you have to kind of go back in the vault of the way that you either are or did behave and see that you actually have the wiring to be able to do it. Now, I'm very bouncy because I'm very excited about this part of the program that I've been developing over the last couple of years. Because for me, this is what worked. This is how I was able to go from broken into recovery, into healing. There was nothing out there that was a system like the one that I've created. And so I had to create it myself. I either had to give up and die or create it. Those was my only options. My house was on fire. My life was on fire. Everything was burning to the ground. And I had to figure out how to get out of it. My 10 plus years being in the world of entrepreneurship and business and all of the different things, I've listened to and heard all of it. From the common everyday poster through the biggest business moguls there are, all of the mindset training, all of the personal development training, nobody really gives you an action step. So first you have to go into your mind and you have to realize that you have done things that maybe you're not proud of, but the skills that come from those things that you're not proud of are still valuable. So important. And I've never been able to articulate it that way, and I'm so glad I'm recording this video for you because I am so stoked that that just came out the way that it did. That you might have done things that you're not proud of, but the skill sets that come from those things that you weren't proud of are still valuable. I am not proud of the fact that I used to try to figure out a way to be able to consume alcohol when I didn't have a way to provide that for myself. However, I recognize the skill set that comes from that, and I shifted over here. And you know what that led to? Me recognizing the skill set allowed me to negotiate with myself about making these types of videos. You have the ability to do something far more uncomfortable. This is me talking to me. You have the ability to do something far more uncomfortable than just shooting a video. Matter of fact, you even have the skill set to public speak because I did that for some time when I was in real estate. And matter of fact, you have the skill set of passion because anytime you get the opportunity to talk about these things, you're very passionate about it. So I take these skill sets and I go, okay, well, I've got this set of tools that allow me to create this system for me to be the first student of, and then for them to be able to share it with you. So dig into the vault. If you feel like there's something that you can't do, that you just can't overcome, that you just can't believe in, if you have a self-esteem or a self-confident issue or a self-worth, a self-deserving issue, you can go back and discover a time where you did not let those things get in your way because you wanted the outcome to be whatever it is that you wanted it to be. Now you have to apply that into the world of today. Pick an action, commit to completion, and then celebrate it. So what does this look like? Well, for me, it looked like being able to say no to going out, commit to not doing that, completing the night without doing that, and then celebrating that in the morning, even if it was very difficult. I went through this cycle several times. Give yourself some grace. Don't give yourself excuse, but give yourself some grace. If you make a mistake and you don't do it, just try again. Don't try it again, just do it. And see how it feels. It's all an experiment. This life is just one big, gigantic experiment. And I think the purpose of life is to continuously becoming a better version of yourself so that you have a positive and more complete impact on not only the people around you, but for generations to come. Because there doesn't have to be a purpose of life for life to exist. But I think if there was going to be one, it would be to continuously learning to become a better version of you so that you have a positive impact on those around you and for generations to come. So, what are you going to do? How are you going to apply this information? Because I don't want to just talk and rant and speak and philosophize and opinionize and all of these things. How are you going to apply this system of taking action, committing to completion of that action, and then celebrating it? Let's talk about the celebrating part of it. When I celebrate the fact that I did not go out, the action of not going out, I committed to completing that action by just staying put. Stay in your room, stay in your bed, stay wherever you are. Just don't go to the bar. Don't go to a party, whatever it is, no matter how tempting it was. Celebrating it looked like fist pumps in the morning, intentional. Even if I didn't want to be like, yeah, you did that, I still went, I was proud of myself. And in those moments of doing that over and over again, I began to build self-esteem. You are capable. And I started to build confidence to be able to say no to not only myself, but other people. And after applying this in several different areas, simultaneously at the same time, making my bed, committing to the action, commit to completion, celebrating it, just, man, feels awesome. I've done this so many times now that I'm energized by just telling you about it. Even though right now, my bed is a mess. And I'm not going to even lie about that. I'm not even going to try to cover that up. But it's mostly because my room is my studio. And I had to move a bunch of stuff around. So before I leave this room after I record this video, it will be straightened up. Give yourself some grace. Got to give yourself some grace. Give yourself room for error and allow that error to become less and less of an error. Give yourself the ability to transition. Give yourself the ability to transition out of depression, transition out of anxiety. Give yourself the grace to transition out of your drug or alcohol use or abuse. Give yourself grace and permission to move forward. One step at a time, a half step at a time. I don't even really like the step analogy. Just take one little action at a time. So, with that being said, welcome to the Tools to Recovery program on the Elite Outcome Academy channel, where I am developing all of these strategies, philosophies, opinions, action steps, so forth, into a consumable format that has to cover so many different aspects. To dive deeper into what you can do out of the Tools to Recovery program is to listen to the Successfully Destructive videos. Successfully Destructive is a book that I'm currently writing that really breaks down the behaviors that we exude while being destructive, how to take those behaviors and reapply them into real life, into work, into relationships, into self-worth and confidence, taking all of those things. These videos posted on these days are all about recovery, giving yourself a little bit more grace, a little bit more room to breathe, giving yourself the capability to become self-confident, have some self-worth and self-esteem in order to feel like you are worth more than the person that you believe deserves to live the way that you are. The brain is very pliable. The neurons and the neurochemistry, the synapses, it's just an electrical system that needs to be told what to do. To fire here and stop firing there and these things. This is very true. If you want to learn more about that stuff, you can listen to some of my philosophy videos as they pop up. It's not a regular program, but I plan on putting the 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 crazy thoughts that I have in my brain down on paper and just presenting them here. Might as well on this channel. So moving forward, now pick an action, commit to complete, celebrate it. Throw yourself a little party every time you do something that you don't necessarily want to do. Or even if you do want to do it. Or even if you're already doing it. Just start celebrating it so that you can start wiring your brain into being happy about being who you are. With that being said, take care. See you on the next video. And remember, become elite.